Hi, Clint.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. I'm a little nervous, believe it or not. I don't get nervous with presentations, but this one's got me a little nervous. So we'll see how it goes. I'm excited though.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to
Yeah,
be
I'm
great.
excited. I think so. Okay.
For
Thank you,
sure.
sir.
Of course, of course.
Just doing a quick video and audio check. Is everything good?
Yep.
All right.
Hear you and see you.
I can hear you and see you too. Okay, we'll
Good,
start
good,
here
good.
in a couple of minutes.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks. Hello, everybody. We'll give it just one more minute or so then we'll get started. Looks like potentially Carlene's in the waiting room, waiting to get merged in.
And I see Nolan there.
Is Nolan there as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello.
All right, with that, we'll start the May 9th CCP meeting. Clerk, can we please get a roll call?
Yes, apologies if I say this name incorrectly. Member Aiello,
Hi, Melinda Aiello.
sorry.
That's all right, no worries.
Member Evans.
Here.
Member Jacoski,
Present.
Member Johnson,
Here.
Member Lewis. Looks like he's absent. Member Miller,
Here.
Member Nigel. Looks like he's also absent. Member Olson,
Present.
Member Sullivan,
Here, thank you.
Member Valdez. I see you, Laura, but you're muted. Thank you.
Present.
Member Vega. Member Vega, I see you.
Here.
Okay, thank you. Member Villegas,
Present.
thank you. And Member Fruitnik,
Here.
thank you.
Thank you. Brings us to agenda item number 2, consider approval of the agenda. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at it. Is there any concerns or comments, or would anybody like anything removed? If no, can I get a motion to approve, please?
Miller will make the motion.
Okay, Chief Miller with a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Under Sheriff Johnson with a second. And can we get a roll call vote, please, to approve the agenda?
Member Aiello,
Aye.
Member Evans.
Aye.
Member Jacoski.
Aye.
Member Johnson,
Aye.
Member Lewis is absent. Member Miller,
Aye.
Member Nigel. Looks like he's also absent. Member Olson,
Aye.
Member Sullivan,
Aye.
Member Valdez,
Aye.
Member Vega,
Yes.
Member Villegas,
Yes.
and Member Fruitnik.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. Brings us to agenda item number 3. This would authorize us to hold this meeting via video conference due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic state of emergency. Again, it would just authorize us to continue to meet remotely. If that, can I get a motion to approve, please?
A motion.
First by Ian, can I get a second?
I'll second again.
Second by Under Sheriff Johnson, and can we please get another roll call vote?
Member Aiello,
Aye.
Member Evans,
Aye.
Member Jacoski,
Aye.
Member Johnson,
Aye.
Member Lewis is absent. Member Miller,
Aye.
Member Nigel is also absent. Member Olson,
Aye.
Member Sullivan,
Aye.
Member Valdez,
Aye.
Member Vega,
Yes.
Member Villegas,
Yes.
and Member Fruitnick.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
All right, agenda item number 4, public comment. Opportunity for members of the public to address the CCP on subjects related to CCP business and not otherwise on the agenda. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any public speakers? Public comment on this?
Yes, Francesca Wright.
Go ahead, Ms. Wright.
Hi, good afternoon. I just wanted to make an overall suggestion that the CCP has a work plan with objectives by when it's going to be done and maybe percentage of progress, because as a member of the public that has spent a lot of time trying to track, I find that a lot of the proposals are somewhat vague in the deliverables and the outcomes. And I just think if we tighten up the management of CCP activities in a way that is transparent to the public, I think it will help the functioning of the CCP to be more focused on your objectives and attaining them. Thank you.
Thank you. Other public comment?
There are no additional hands raised, Chair.
All right, thank you. Brings us to number 5, approve minutes. On the agenda, it has the April 14th meeting. It's actually the April 11th meeting is when we met. So to approve the minutes on the April 11th meeting of the CCP. We'll open up for discussion if there's any issues or concerns or with the minutes. Hopefully everyone's had an opportunity to review them. If there are any concerns or comments, can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the April 11th meeting?
I make a motion to approve the meetings for the April 11th meeting.
Okay. We have a first by Laura. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Again.
I saw you coming off a mute there, Dale, and I was thinking,
waiting for.
let's
Let's
go. We have a second by Under Sheriff Johnson. Thank you. With that, can we get a vote to approve the minutes?
Yes, Member Ayolo.
Aye.
Thank you. Member Evans.
Aye.
Member Jacoski.
Aye.
Member Johnson.
Aye.
Member Lewis is absent. Member Miller.
Abstain.
Member Nigel is absent. Member Olson.
Aye.
Member Sullivan.
Abstain.
Member Valdez.
Aye.
Thank you. Member Vega.
Yes.
Member Villegas.
Yes.
And Member Fruitnick.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes with 2 abstentions.
Brings us to number 6, member announcements. Do any of the members of the CCP have any announcements they would like to share with the group? I'm scanning the boxes really quick. I don't see anybody coming off mute or lighting up. Yes, Laura, you're raising your hand.
Yes, I would like to announce that as of last month, we were able to fill in a victim advocate position to cover the RJP program. So our CCP advocate that was covering RJP as well is now is training this new advocate to be able to cover RJP, which will take that duty off the CCP advocate's caseload.
Thank you. All right. Go ahead, Ian.
Sorry, Chief. I'll just share with the group real quick that, we had partnered with Public Defender's Office, DA, and probation on actually 2 different grant Prop 47 round 3 proposals. So HHSA submitted this past Monday for a $6 million grant that if funded would start early next year and be 36 months of service delivery for wraparound support to enhance the services provided to the harm reduction pilot population that we started partnering with the DA's office about a year ago on, and also some pre-charging, kind of pre-filing population that may come through the Future Crisis Now program or our homeless outreach teams in each community. And then the DA's office submitted a grant for up to $1 million for support team to serve 8 to 10 individuals at a time. In January, the misdemeanor competency restoration law changed. And so competency restoration isn't a thing anymore for misdemeanors. They can either be diverted, they can be referred to AOT or Laura's Law, or as a last ditch effort, if all other community supports have failed, they can be referred for LPS conservatorship. And we don't currently have a support team for diversion for that population. It's different than what the CCP funded diversion program is. And so if awarded, that would also be a 36-month program to serve those 8 to 10 individuals in the community and provide wraparound support and housing navigation. So we should know in about 2 months if we were successful in one or hopefully both of those applications.
Thank you. Nolan?
Yeah, over the past year or so, the Health and Human Services Agency has had sort of a rolling kind of reopening of our lobbies. And so we had what we called metered opening, we had phone access, and we had kind of internet access, and then we were checking folks in kind of one by one. So I just wanted to share with the group, because I know we have lots of different partnerships. All of our lobbies now are fully open Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. We have 2 freshly remodeled employment centers, one in West Sacramento, one in Woodland. They've been a little slow since we've reopened. So I know we have lots of different partnerships and kind of cross-pollination with these various groups. Our buildings are back in business. We've got staff anxious to serve the public face-to-face, especially on the employment front. So if anyone wants to have conversations afterwards about coordination or kind of reestablishing programs we had 2 years ago, we are back in business and fully open.
Thank you. Looking at the boxes, I don't see anybody else coming off mute or lighting up. So we'll move on to agenda item number 7, which is a review status of mental health diversion program funded by the CCP. And I believe there's a team that's going to present. So if they can be led into the panel, please. Then Martha, I'm not sure if you're kicking it off or.
I would be. We have a, can we share the PowerPoint for you guys?
Yes, I'm just having an issue finding Santiago. Is this person going to be joining, Clint?
Julie, yes, she should be.
Is it Julie with Communicare?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
thank
I
you.
don't see a last name, sure.
Then I'll start it off. Good afternoon. I'm Deputy District Attorney Martha Weiss, and I'm part of the mental health diversion team. I manage the new program for the DA's office. Last year, we spent several months as a team meeting and developing the program. And just this January, we launched. The new program is designed to be complementary to the established programs of Mental Health Court and AIC, or Addiction Intervention Court. Our program seeks to reach those who may not be a good fit for mental health court or addiction intervention because they are a little less mentally ill or whose crimes were a little less serious and they don't need all of the care that comes with those two programs. Our program is based loosely on, just a second. It's not working.
Do you need me to advance to the next slide?
Yes, please.
Okay,
Sorry.
just let me know and I'll move it for you.
Absolutely. Our program is based loosely on Penal Code Section 1001.36. This is a code that allows a judge to divert a case based on the mental illness of the defendant when the defendant can show that they've put together a treatment or a mental health plan for themselves. This new program seeks to help more people in this type of situation by being the built-in program for them with the staff and the treatment team. It's ready-made, but it's still individualized because we individualize and characterize it for each person. We'll advance to the next slide, and I believe that's Miss Olson.
So CCP contributed the funding for this. If you guys remember, it was I think part of it was out of the innovation fund, part out of the treatment fund. And it's paid for an additional public defender, DA, probation officer, and the caseworker from Communicare, the partners that you see that joined today. It's not based on which clients are receiving Medi-Cal funding. So YOLO residency and citizenship is not mandatory. That's different than what was occurring for mental health court. That required those clients to have Medi-Cal, excuse me, and be YOLO County residents. So we actually have the potential to reach a broader scope of people that are in need than under the current programs. Next slide, please. And Martha, I don't know. Oh, go ahead. This is Kristen. This is yours. Okay.
Yes. Hi, my name is Kristen Arez. I'm the probation officer that manages the mental health diversion caseload. So for this program, for eligibility, our clients have to be 18 years or older. They have to be charged or convicted of one or more felonies or misdemeanors and in danger of getting charged with their first felony. Participants must agree to the mental health diversion program and follow the guidelines. The participants must have the necessary insight and motivation to be successful in the program. And the mental health diversion team must all agree on the participants' acceptance. So we all have to agree and come together and staff each case for them to be accepted. Next slide.
Hi, I'm Julie. I work at Communicare. I'm the clinician and part of the treatment team. So at Communicare, we do the assessments for the new referrals. We do treatment planning for the clients that are approved into the program. We provide intensive case management, monitoring, accountability, and coordination. Next slide, please. We also help the clients, in their to hopefully graduate the program when all minimum participation requirements are met, maintain satisfactory progress, and remain engaged. And there's also a successful transition, and this is for those due to severity of the mental illness, co-occurring substance use disorder, and or functional impairments are unable to fully meet the requirements, but have otherwise made significant progress. The team may decide they can be successfully transitioned out of the program. Next slide, please.
So this was the first court appearance that we had and meeting. We meet with the judge, with probation, with the different law partners in the sheriff's department, obviously the public defender and DA's offices. Judge Guard has come out of retirement to help us out with this. It's amazing how the participants do respond to her. Next slide. So far, we've had 52 referrals as of today. I keep track of everything. We have 10 enrolled and 21 are pending assessment. So we've really kicked off. The allotted time between referrals and being accepted is approximately 6 weeks. If you don't count the 2 people that were referred before we even started back in January, they were wanting the doors to open back in December, then we're down to about 5 weeks. So we're well within our time frame that we put out to the courts. Next slide. Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone for the presentation. With that, I'll open it up to the CCP first for discussion or questions and comments. If anybody has any. Looks like Supervisor Villegas is, oh, nope. Laura?
Yes, I do have a question. I'm wondering, this information that was presented to us today, what are the dates that this information was gathered from? How long has, what are the dates that the numbers are coming from?
We started January, the middle of January was our first, or second Wednesday of January until today.
Anybody else? Yes, Supervisor Vegas.
Thank you, Chief. Took me 20 minutes to figure out how to raise my hand again. So I love this kind of program, and I'm just curious if you guys could share a little bit about maybe what the profile of somebody who has been, the 9 that have been accepted. If you can identify or explain a little bit about what the profile looks like. Someone who's been temporarily, at least temporarily deferred. In other words, like what kind of crime, you know, what created the perfect opportunity for them to take advantage of this alternative to going through the traditional criminal justice system?
The crimes have ranged from misdemeanors, where maybe they have a couple of misdemeanors, but they're in danger of getting a next felony. So anything from domestic violence to with mental illness or substance use disorder to DUIs up to and including some arsons. So it's across the board, and it depends on the mental illness. If they're too severely mentally ill, we don't have the same resources as the mental health court or the addiction intervention in terms of placement and things like that, or locked facilities. So we try to like get that sweet spot of people that are maybe not mentally ill enough for mental health court, but not doing well in the community. And maybe we can help steer them in a direction that keeps them out of our jail, keeps them out of the criminal justice system.
I assumed there was that sweet spot that you referred to, because as it were, if they're not ready to take on that responsibility, they're going to need more intensive support, then they need to be referred appropriately. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Let's open it up to public comment on this agenda item, please. Clerk, do we have any public comment?
Yes, we have a hand raised.
Okay.
Francesca Wright.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm really interested in this program. I'm glad to see that it's launched. I'm really curious about who's being served by different diversion programs and how we're tracking their understanding what the program is doing to either benefit or be successful in keeping people out of trouble. I was curious, you said that that this one, unlike mental health court, they do not have to be Medi-Cal eligible. And I'm curious, out of the 9, the number that were non-Medi-Cal qualified. I'm also interested in, does the program provide treatment? And if so, what sort of treatments are provided? I'm assuming that it's not much in the way of treatment if you're not getting reimbursement from Medi-Cal, but I don't want to make my assumptions. I'd like to either know that they're wrong or right. But so if I could have those 2 questions answered, I would appreciate it.
So I'm going to ask Kristen, I think, to describe what the CommuniCare services are, or Julie, excuse me, Julie, or either of you. But as Francesca, as far as the Medi-Cal, it's not that we're targeting people that aren't Medi-Cal eligible. We're simply including people that aren't Medi-Cal eligible. And that was because under HHSA, when we were serving the severely mentally ill in mental health court, Medi-Cal reimbursements were critical for funding the program. So this is separate funding that's going through CommuniCare, but I think either Kristen or Julie would be able to answer the question as to what treatment's being given. And I think it is a wrong assumption to assume not much. They are getting a lot of treatment.
Yeah, they are getting a lot of treatment. It's just sometimes we're getting people who don't live in Yolo County. So then we will just place the person in their county and have them receive services in their county. But we would provide case management and peer support for them for the duration of the time that they're in the mental health diversion program. And the services that they're being offered is substance use treatment, Yolo County Mental Health Services, Turning Point. So a wide range of services here in Yolo County, and then any other service they need outside of our county.
Thank you. Is there additional public comment on this item?
No, Chair.
Okay. I'll turn it back over to the CCP for any more discussion or comments. Supervisor Vegas.
I just wanted to underscore the comment earlier about the connection to retired Judge Scarter, who came back to help. I think that in my experience, having worked with drug courts for all these years, I mean, talking to the clients afterwards, it's those little things. And oftentimes that connection with another person, especially somebody that's in authority sitting on the other side, really makes a difference. So I'm glad to hear that, whether that was just included as part of the presentation or that's a significant part of the program. In my experience, that does make a difference for some folks when they can make that connection. So I'm glad to hear that.
Anybody else? Doesn't look, yes, Laura?
Well, I just wanted to say, I just have a comment. I want to say thank you. Thank you to these agencies that have come up with and partnered for this. Working in victim services for 21 years, I see a lot of family members that come through the criminal justice system where they're very grateful to have these type of services to be able to help their loved ones. So I very much commend and admire the innovation, the partnership that we've had as a group to be able to come up with resources like these, not just to help the people that are committing crimes, but also to help their loved ones in finding a new normal after a crime. So thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the presenters today. Great job. And I'm sure we'll have the group back at a future meeting and discuss it some more. Thank you. All right, that brings us to agenda item number 8. Receive presentation on the baseline of victim satisfaction survey. I'll turn this over to Laura.
Thank you, Chief. I wanted to, we wanted to bring awareness of what it is that's going on. Back in 2012, when we first started, planning for what the CCP was going to look like, I got to be part of all of that planning. And one of the things that was very important was making sure that victim satisfaction was met with all of the changes that were coming down from the state. We wanted to make sure that we were still meeting that. Our victim satisfaction survey out of the victim services program has been going out into the community now, I would say since 2000, probably since about 2012, 2013 is when we started sending out, no, I apologize, 2000, it was like 2005 when these surveys first started going out into the community. We've been able to compile numbers and be able to see trends that are happening as the years go by. The summary that I have for us to evaluate today is from July of 21 through May of 2022, through last year. And the way that we're compiling these numbers now, as of now, is we actually have a survey monkey that goes out to our community once a case has been sentenced. That is when Victim Services closes out a case. So next slide, please. So in the information that you have with the agenda, you will see the raw data that has been submitted. And this is the way that SurveyMonkey captures the information, is with the raw data that you have attached to the agenda. But in this presentation, what I wanted was to point out a little bit of what it is that we're seeing and how we're paying attention to this. I wanted to show here the different crime types and reimbursement that have been captured. And this is raw data that you see up here. So as you can see here, a lot of those cases are robberies and assaults. And then the satisfaction, if you see here, the yeses and the nos of satisfaction to reimbursement are very similar. Next, and that was also huge for the CCP, was to see if we were reimbursing and getting the proper reimbursements. Next slide, please. So when we look at the raw data and we capture the numbers, and what I did to capture these numbers was I went ahead and took out the numbers of people that did not respond to the question or that answered not applicable to them. Once I did that, I was able to see that the overall satisfaction rate for questions regarding the deputy DAs is approximately 2/3 of the responders are saying that they are above average satisfied. 65% are satisfied with what the DA's office is doing for them. And then on that, also what interests me a lot is seeing how my staff is doing. And when I went ahead and captured those numbers in the same way, I was able to capture that 89% of the clients that we're serving are satisfied with what the victim advocates are doing. And 82% of those that answered that question gave 5s, which is the highest number, the highest satisfaction rate that they can give on the survey. Next slide, please. I also wanted to break it down so that the CCP can see what the advocate that has been hired to be able to help victims in the caseload that fall under CCPs is doing. And one of the things is, because it was so important to get a baseline for us, it was very much that victim advocate has been pushing it a little bit more to follow up with the surveys to be able to get more information. So when we break it down that way, we see that Heather Blair, who is the victim advocate assigned to CCP, and she only covers CCP cases, 44 of those responses are her caseload. We also are able to see that there's 26% robbery, which falls under CCP. The assaults, those are assigned to all of the victim advocates, and DV can also go to all victim advocates. So some of those, that whole percentage is not Heather's. There in assault and DV, there is the other advocates that are also covering those cases. I also wanted to point out 76% of the responses were cases that were prosecuted, which means that the other percentage are cases that are not prosecuted. We are providing services to victims in both cases that are being prosecuted, as well as those that are not being charged at this time. And then 79% of the respondents did not have to testify in court. Next slide, please. With that, I thank you. And then I did include my contact information because to us, it's very important that we are serving all victims of crime in Yolo County, whether a case is charged or not charged. It's super important that we are providing those services to victims. So I wanted to make sure that that information was out there as well. So that's what I have.
Thank you for the presentation. I'll open it up to the CCP for discussion.
I'll ask a question.
Okay, Melinda.
So Laura, is there a place, looking at these survey results, is there something that you wish you could still do more of or do better? Or is there room for improvement, or what would be your next step?
So that is a question that we review often, and that I have actually asked my staff, what can we do better? Because it's so important for us to always stay on top of providing services to victims and continue to be innovative. One of the things that we have done is we have consulted with other counties to see how they're doing with their victim satisfaction survey and see if there's anything that we can bring to our county to make it better. I believe one of the things that we can do better is definitely continue. We used to have more follow-up on these surveys, where we had a team that was calling survivors of crime after the case was closed out and saying, hey, we sent you a survey. Have you had a chance to review it? We've made it easier now, where we actually have a QR code that we mail out to victims. So now, it used to be a paper document. Now it's a QR code, which makes it a lot easier to be able to do it on your phone or on your laptop, whatever has a camera. That was something that we were able to copy from another county, is getting a QR code to make it better. At this point, what I see that we could do better is be able to have better follow-up. The thing with that is that takes time. And that is one thing that we don't have in victim services, is we're very swamped busy with a lot of work. So, but that is one place that I can see improvement. Thank you, Melinda.
Well, let's open it up to public comment. Do we have any public comment on this agenda item?
Yes, Robert Canning.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Laura, for the interesting presentation. I noticed when you look at the data carefully, what you see is that although there's overall very high satisfaction for the services that are provided, there is a small but significant group of people who are dissatisfied And I'm just wondering if you've been able to look at that particular group to see what might best characterize them, just so that you may be able to target those folks to improve the satisfaction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Canning. Most definitely. I actually have in the past been very interested in seeing where that non-satisfaction comes from and seeing what we can do to improve that. There was a time where we used to use these surveys as a point to be able to talk to our staff and say, hey, what's going on here? One of the things that I have found is many times when certain cases are being prosecuted, there are survivors of crime that are not happy with that case being prosecuted, such as in domestic violence cases, such as in elder abuse cases. So we run into a lot of those where those surveys are filled out where they're not satisfied because they didn't want the case to be prosecuted. And so some of those we do have to take in and consider as well. I think one of the important things is definitely being able to continue to provide a voice to survivors of crime by letting them let us know where it is that they're unsatisfied. And many times when we do get these surveys that claim unsatisfaction, we will reach out to them and I will personally talk to them and say, we received your survey. We noticed there was a lot of unsatisfaction. What could we do to make it better? And sometimes it could be something as simple as them saying, I didn't want to have to go to court and testify. And I completely understand that. I get that because then they feel that they were not heard or considered during the prosecution of the case. But that's something that us as victim advocates don't have control over. But we do our best to make sure that their voice is heard in the criminal justice system. I hope that answered it.
Thank you. Is there additional public comment on this agenda item?
There are no additional hands raised, Chair.
Thank you. I'll turn it once again to the CCP for any further. If not, we'll move on to the next. I'm not seeing anybody come off mute or light up. So the next agenda item is number 9. Receive update on efforts to implement vocational development services. Just a quick update. Recently, probation and HHSA and the Workforce Investment Board met to try to figure out where we could collaborate a little bit more on job training and job readiness. One of the areas we're thinking about is embedding a job training readiness monthly brief presentation in the day reporting centers to help make sure the clients understand of what is out there and help link them to those services. I've talked to the day reporting center. We're working out how that might look. And also there's a lot of training that there's already money for, and with HHSA and the Workforce Investment Board. And we're looking at potentially one area we could assist in is clients on our caseloads to provide stipends if they're already engaged in training funded through HHSA to potentially do things like safety gear and gas cards to get into that training, etc. So we don't have all the details ironed out. I'll be back before the CCP again once we start rolling with things. But I just want to give a brief update on where we're at with that and that we continue to try to move forward in this area. So with that being said, I'll open it up to the CCP for discussion. Supervisor?
Sorry about that. So are you also working with the Workforce Investment Board? Because I know much of what they've been doing in the past is trying to match up employers who are looking for employees, try to figure out if there's that sweet spot to help them get trained so that they're sort of ready to jump into a workspace. It's another opportunity.
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing. And just trying to really get those two different, there's a silo here and a silo here, and trying to mesh those together to find out where there is overlap, where we can support each other and continue to work to get our clients what they need for vocational training and job readiness. Absolutely.
Great. Thanks, Chief.
Others on the CCP? Not seeing any. We'll open it up to public comment on this agenda item.
There are no hands raised, Chair.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to agenda item number 10, receive status update on implementation of the 2019-2022 CCP strategic plan. and provide input on objectives that should be carried over to the 23-25 strategic plan, finalize dates for the CCP community engagement meetings, and approve the addition of a CCP meeting on June 6, 2022 for strategic planning. With that, I'll turn it over to Clint.
All right, thank you, Chief. So this will be very similar to what we did last month in terms of updating the existing 2019-2022 strategic plan. Lupita, if you could make me host so I can share my screen, then that way I can get back up our document that we're working from. And what we'll do is we'll go back into the objectives that are in the existing strategic plan. We'll review the updates that were sent in for that plan, and then we will continue those updates as well. So hopefully everybody can see this document up on my screen. I have highlighted the sections that we were not able to cover last month in the strategic plan. There was one objective that was inadvertently left out, and that was objective 2A. So we will start there. And again, these objectives tie into the 3 goals that are outlined in the strategic plan that was attached to the agenda as a separate document from this one. So looking at objective 2A, it ties into the goal of restore victims in the community and hold offenders accountable. This is develop a baseline of data to measure victim satisfaction in Yolo County. And coincidentally enough, we heard from Laura today on the victim satisfaction survey. And so the action was to use collected data to create a baseline of victim satisfaction for further analysis, with the update being data was sent on the 18th to the CCP. It was posted on the CCP's website and also presented in today's meeting as well. So any additional updates or comments to this objective before we move forward? Okay, let's move on. We ended.
Sorry, Clint, I apologize.
Oh, no worries. Thanks, Laura.
I think in the idea of transparency, which is huge, and it was brought up earlier today, I think it's important that we keep this on so that we can continue to check on victim satisfaction. That would be something that I would like to periodically be able to report on, so that the community and the CCP is aware of the victim satisfaction as we go on throughout, CCP.
Great. No, definitely. Thank you very much. And again, what we're doing today is updating where we are currently with the existing strategic plan. We will do a closeout of the strategic plan later on this year, and also hold meetings to discuss the development of our next phase of the strategic plan for 2023-2025. So thank you very much for that comment, and I'll make note of it so we revisit that in our discussion for developing the next strategic plan. So we ended with objective 3C, and that ties into the 3rd goal of build offender competency and support community reintegration. And so the objective was expand housing investments to assist with offender reentry. The actions associated with this objective were analyze the feasibility and cost of expanding housing capacity, and also take 1 or more actions to increase housing capacity, work with the criminal justice grant writing team as appropriate to secure funding. And so the last update on the 11th of August of last year, or of 2020, it looks like this was completed with the analyze of feasibility and cost of expanding housing capacity. The most recent update that was sent in for the April 11th meeting on the 2nd action item was prior attempts to implement grant have not been successful due to need for a more robust community outreach. Current housing market makes it difficult to implement as currently planned. Consulting with CCP on next steps, CCP contribution to effort, reduced effort, forfeit of grant. So any additional updates to this objective?
Hey, Clint, I don't know if it's appropriate for this one or maybe for our next strategic plan, but I think the analyzing feasibility of costs for expanding housing capacity should probably be an ongoing objective and item. For example, like we just completed the most recent point in time count in YOLO, and so we'll have a more robust report by the end of the month that breaks down the demographics, including those in each jurisdiction, you know, that are unsheltered and sheltered, but also those that have involvement in the criminal justice system. We have our work with Kevin O'Connell with the, you know, data-driven recovery project that is every quarter updating the jail booking data with our behavioral health data and the housing HMIS data. And so again, I'm not sure if it's, you know, best captured for this or, you know, something we want to just carry forward for the next plan, but I definitely think it's important to review that on a regular basis, especially as we're seeing changes in the housing market, changes in our population, and, you know, knowing the struggles we've had with the prior attempts like you captured here.
Definitely, thank you. I'll make note of that, and I'll also make note of Laura's comment for the victim satisfaction as well. So then that way, when we begin discussing the 2023-25 strategic plan, we have these notes in place. Any other updates for this objective? All right. I will move forward to objective 3D. This is safely reduce the number of people with mental illness in the jail system. The first action here is explore options for safe diversion of low-level nonviolent offenders with a mental health illness and or substance abuse disorder to appropriate community-based mental health treatment programs. There is an update on the 11th of August in 2020. The most recent update being this year, clinician embedded with sheriff and probation, Crisis Now program under development. And we also, again, heard today for the mental health diversion program that was done through with CCP funding. Any additional updates for that first action that we want to make note of?
I think in addition, since the last update, we have a total of 5 co-responder clinicians now. So the sheriff probation one was the one that CCP helped fund.
Okay.
And we're actually in the process of adding a 6th. City of Woodland got a 1-year grant to help support their funding for a 6th co-responder clinician that they hope to be, you know, permanent after the 1-year grant, obviously.
All right, perfect. And I know we noted that in one of the other objectives above, so I will also put that down here. I'll copy and paste what we put above. Thanks, Ian. Any other additional updates?
I don't know if we noted it, but looking at the description, sorry.
No worries.
I don't think I captured it last time, but, you know, the harm reduction pilot project that the DA's office and HHSA have been partnering on, I think was, you know, a attempt at this low-level diversion and driving folks towards treatment. And, you know, we used the lessons learned over the first 12 months of that to really inform that Prop 47 grant we went after. But regardless of whether we get that grant or not, the harm reduction pilot project is continuing, at least to date. So I think it'd be good to capture here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we will move on to the next action, explore options to make transitional residential treatment beds for people with mental health problems. The update as of last month attempted to implement Ellen's House, grant forfeited due to limited housing inventory and community concerns. Any updates on this one? Okay.
Hey, Ian, is this the one you and I talked about a little bit?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I guess the question or the topic is I do think we've had a recent and it could be the same one. I apologize. I think it would be helpful to sort of do like an after action report or a hot wash on some of the recent issues that we've had, just to strategize and plan how to be more successful in future efforts. I think that there were some things that maybe groundwork wise we could have paved on one of these particular projects that will just help us strategize how to be more successful in the future. So, you know, forfeiting funds is never great, but I think that Ian had some really good pointers and tips and ideas on how to be more successful going forward. And I think, unfortunately, it's kind of a long game, not a short game. So I'm not sure who would be involved in that, but I do think there should be a discussion on how we can do better in the future in that area, or really prep to be successful.
Thank you. Any other comments or updates? All right. And our last action for this objective is implementation of a mental health screening and assessment process to better identify people with serious mental illnesses and establish baseline data. The status on the 11th of August in 2020, its potential crossover with the DDRP, given the data sharing management. Any additional update for this go around?
Yeah, I'll just add, we worked, I think it was this past February, with the Sheriff's Department and WellPath to implement the brief jail mental health screening tool, and have that be part of the, probably use the wrong term, but part of the intake process essentially with the jail, so that they could utilize that and we could better capture what the population looks like coming into the jail and the needs utilizing that tool. I think we're continuing to work with WellPath on how they can actually automate that and add it into their electronic health record, because they've been having some trouble. They've been doing it manually. And so it's been hard to work with Kevin and the WellPath staff to get data on that. But we've added a part-time admin assistant position to their contract that they are working on hiring to support this. Some of the MAT funding projects that CCP supported, and also the upcoming JBCT program. And so we're hoping with the addition of that person, they can do better data tracking. We can get some baseline data for YOLO using that.
All right, thanks, Ian. Any additional updates? Great. Moving on, objective 3E, increase the percentage of offender population who are registered to vote, with the action being work with the county elections office to inform inmates and probationers of voter rights and register eligible voters. The update being voter registration drive held in probation offices, program declined by the sheriff's office in lieu of their own internal program. Any other additional updates?
Well, that was the update for the last major election. We have another one coming up, so I'm not sure what the plan is going forward.
All right, any other updates or questions that we want to bring forward with this objective? Okay, thank you, Tracy. Objective 3F, research and analyze the causes of recidivism and identify best practices in addressing causes. First action being gather data relating to the criminal justice involved population and causes of recidivism. Status update being this has been complete and ongoing. So it sounds like this may be something we want to make ongoing for future strategic planning. Any other updates or comments on the first action? Next action, review literature and causes of recidivism. Again, this is ongoing. Any updates to this since last go around?
I thought it was complete. What do you mean it's ongoing?
Yeah, there was a couple of white papers done by Tracy's team and some others. Does that apply here, Clint? I thought we had that on there, no?
That was previously reviewed last go around. This was a status update I received that somebody filled in as ongoing for review literature and causes of recidivism. So maybe I think it was completed in terms of the white papers that were discussed and talked about. I don't know if any sort of causes of recidivism is an ongoing, was the ongoing portion of this.
I would suggest it is ongoing, or it should be ongoing at least. We should constantly be doing that. I know it's not part of this task we're doing right now, but we'll have to in the next strategic plan kind of detail out what that means and how and all that good stuff. So I agree. We've completed a portion of it, but it should be ongoing. Looks like Supervisor has a question.
Yes.
Supervisor Vegas.
Yeah, just a question in terms of the identifying the best practices and addressing the causes under either an action well, maybe an action. Should there be a kind of a presentation to the board on kind of what the findings are so we can embed those in sort of our policy direction or our policy thinking, or what would be the intended result of identifying those best practices? Or is that just sort of assumed that it would be used as part of the ongoing work that you guys are doing? I guess it's more of a question.
Yeah, it's one of the things we were discussing when Clint and I were going over this strategic plan, that some of the action items and objectives were a little bit vague, and we'll obviously have to work on that in the future. But yes, I do agree there should be some action event afterward, and we circulated those white papers with the amongst the CCP, but we didn't have anything scheduled as far as a board update or board presentation. But it's something we should definitely look at moving forward.
Okay, I think if there are some clear agreement around some of the best practices, it would be good. I think it would be good to have those sort of identified so that we are following suit, right? So as a board, we're not, at left field doing things that are not consistent with what we now have determined, at least in YOLO, to be, best practices. So in whatever form you think that should look like at some point, maybe the next iteration of this would include something like that.
Absolutely. Ian?
I mean, I think that's a great point by Supervisor Villegas. I wonder if there's some key kind of bullets or high level pieces that we could pull out and include in the upcoming strategic planning sessions that we're doing in the community. I think they're scheduled for July or August. And that could be some helpful kind of level setting, for those discussions.
Right, any other updates that we wanted to note here? Okay. Next action is identify best practices in addressing recidivism causes. This is noted as complete, and I think some of what we just discussed will cross over as well into this update. Do we want any additional comments or updates with this item? All right. And that is the end of our updates for the existing strategic plan. And again, I will re-listen to the meeting. I will put some more comprehensive notes down here as well. So I don't know if Chief, if we wanted to go to CCP member comments on this or public comment, or do you want me to move through the other two items? In this agenda?
Let's go with CCP discussion if there is any on the update of the current strategic plan. Then I'll move it to public comment, and then we'll take each with a little piece by piece. Is there any additional conversation or discussion on the update of the strategic plan? Not seeing any boxes. We'll open it up to public comment. Clerk, do we have any public comment?
Yes, Francesca, right. But Clint, can you make me a host so I can allow her to speak? Thank you. Okay, Ms. Wright, go ahead.
Great, thank you so much. Well, I started with my general public comment about accountability and having a work plan. And this is like a good high level overview of what the public needs to understand what's going on, but it lacks a lot of specificity. So for example, when you say the sheriff has handled voter registration in the jail, it would be really nice to be able to say of the 142 inmates during this time period, 100% were offered registration, and a X number were able to register. That would give confidence to the public that the sheriff's program is effective, and instead just saying the sheriff handles it gives this particular public person zero confidence. The second thing is it's really important to understand who is taking responsibility and when they intend to have it, which would be the more detail that would occur in a work plan. Lastly, you're going to be talking about the strategic plan. You know, it's really interesting that Community Corrections Partnership has all these collaborative words in its name. It has community, for which there is zero community representation on this body. Corrections, we really need to understand, are people getting better? And partnership is working closely together. And if you're going to be planning outreach again, may I encourage that you invite the public to partner with you and be part of the planning team so that you actually have community and community corrections. And lastly, when you have an action, for example, if you have come up with what's working for recidivism, please make that known. That is a huge accomplishment if you understand what reduces recidivism. Why isn't that posted to the CCP website? Why isn't that included in a work plan of what changes have occurred in the programming to reduce recidivism? And why isn't there any updated recidivism data available in Yolo County since the report that the CSAC has done? Recidivism is one of the main reasons this body exists, and yet it's not transparent of what progress is being made on that. So that's my broken record for what I say every month. It would be really nice to see actions that acknowledge that the public has been trying to engage with you, and it's been frustrating. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there other public comment on this?
There are no additional hands raised, Chair.
All right, thank you. Clint, can we go over the engagement meeting dates and approve the addition of a CCP meeting on June 6th for strategic planning purposes, please?
Sure. So we just wanted to affirm there are 2 community engagement meetings that will be held surrounding development of the 2023-2025 strategic plan. Those have been set for Tuesday, July 19th from 2 to 3:30 p.m. and Monday, August 8th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. And as more details come together, once we start to figure out how this will look when we work with our consultant on these meetings, we'll update the CCP on that. And then the last item is to approve the addition of a special CCP meeting on Monday, July 6th at 1:30 to discuss next steps in developing the 2023-2025 strategic plan. So it's going to be taking some of the notes, some of the updates we've already heard from the existing plan, some of the input that's already been provided to begin that process of developing.
Turn it over for CCP discussion. Supervisor Vegas.
Just a question, if I can get the dates for the community engagement, so I can share those with folks, that'd be great.
Absolutely. It is Tuesday, July 19th from 2 to 3:30 and Monday, August 8th from 5 to 6:30.
And
go on, Chief. I was going to say at this time, I believe the plan is to hold those via Zoom.
Yes, and we'll work on the press releases and the flyers and all that and get them out ASAP.
And the special meeting, the additional meeting you said was what date? I think you said July, but did you mean June?
Monday, June 6th. I probably did say July. I'm just jumping ahead. Yeah, Monday, June 6th at 1:30.
I just wanted you guys to know I actually read the agenda.
We thank you. With that piece of it, we'll open it up to public comment on those 2 items. Do we have any additional public comment?
There are no hands raised, Chair.
All right, thank you. Leads us to number 11, adjournment, unless anyone.
I believe
opposes- Oh, sorry.
I believe do we need the approval of the special meeting on June 6th? Do we need to hold a vote for that?
I think just consensus.
Okay.
If we move forward with it, if we don't have a quorum, then we'll have to figure out plan B, but I don't believe so. Or Phil, is that the wrong guidance I'm giving?
No, I think that's fine, Dan. I mean, as chair, you have authority to call a special meeting at any time, so I think the consensus you got on this is good enough.
Thank you.
Chief, if I can make a request, if we could get a calendar hold sent out for those community engagement meetings soon, I think that'd be really helpful for folks.
Absolutely. All right, with that, we'll end the meeting. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.